Hey everybody, if you want to be closing more multiple six-figure deals, close them like clockwork, become one of the number one reps at your company, being able to multiply earnings while taking care of anything your heart desires with the money while like paying off your parents' mortgage. And I want to introduce you to Julian Roos, who's done exactly that. Keep watching and enjoy. What's going on? Marcus Chan here. I'm excited to have Julian here. He's an absolute rock star. If you want to introduce yourself and say who you are and what you do, that'd be great.
Yeah, awesome. Marcus, great to see you again. Even though I see you basically every single week during our Wednesday sessions, but excited to be with you today one-on-one. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Julian Rojas. I've been in sales since 2007. So that's just a bit over 15 years, believe it or not. I transitioned into tech sales just over 8 years ago because I heard that's where the money's at. And I had to go out and find out for myself. I sure did. Helping customers, clients, prospects, anyone who's like in need of something and coming to me for advice is really kind of what motivates me. And at the end of the day, I can't lie. If there's money involved as well, that gets me going. But what I've realized throughout these years is that sales is not meant for everyone. I have people always constantly telling me, like, how do you do it? How are you in sales? But it's really meant for people who have thick skin. And I do believe I have thick skin. I can deal with people. And at the end of the day, this is a profession that I knew I was getting into a long time ago, just because I guess my personality works in parallel here. I learned a lot about you and a lot of LinkedIn strategies. But when you look at LinkedIn, it only states like where you worked, someone's experience, and maybe where they're from. But that's really it. It doesn't really actually let people know who they really truly are. And that's exactly what I do when I speak to someone like a prospect or a customer, or a client, when I get them within a Zoom call or maybe even in person. I open up to them and I'm transparent with them. I want to make sure that they understand who I truly am. Why? Well, it all starts off with how I was raised with my parents. Very similar to you. They came here from a different country back in the 80s looking for the American dream. And for them, it wasn't easy. It took a lot of heart, desire, dedication, blood, sweat, and tears to get to this country for that American dream. They came from Colombia. And as you know, the number one sport in Colombia is soccer. So I grew up playing soccer. I had a soccer ball. The second I could walk, that ball was at at my feet. So needless to say, maybe I'm a bit obsessed about soccer, but I think it's more about having passion. Any team that I played on, I always wanted to shine. I wanted to be that number one goal scorer. I wanted to have the number one assist. I wanted to be the MVP of every single game. And throughout my high school career as well as college, it played a big role in my life as to where I am, who I am today. Because at the end of the day, I enjoy being number one, or that competitive atmosphere is what I really like. And maybe earning some awards along the way kind of gets me going. Definitely that leadership type of initiative or that role is kind of who I am.
Well, I love that, Julian, because I think a lot of people, when we go into sales, we kind of see that glimpse of what our role is. But you're absolutely right. Who we are and how we came about, from you sharing, your parents immigrating here, giving up everything to give you an opportunity, you seizing the opportunity, to you playing sports, loving soccer, and being competitive about that. I think all that ties into who you are as a person. And that's why I love your passion, because a lot of people that have a similar background to you is you take full ownership and accountability to become the best version of you. So for you, before you joined the program, what was the problem you were running into? What were you struggling with?
So I go back when I transitioned into tech sales. It was a whole different ball game in terms of being in sales. I felt like I was going back into school because I needed to study.
Right.
And I literally needed to understand who I was selling to, what I was selling, and how to sell. Completely different ball game for me transitioning. And as I ramped up within the organization at that time, I was getting it, and so was my pockets. I got excited about, but the problem I encountered was that what I considered good money at that time within my first 2 years, I was happy about, but then my third year hit and I was around like $30,000 off from where I was in my previous 2 years
Mm.
within each annual year. And didn't make sense to me at that time. I wasn't making as much money as I was before. And normally you make more money every single year as you progress. That annoyed me. So yeah, sure, I could blame a million
Mm.
things, right? But at the end of the day, it all falls down on me. So I knew I needed to make a change. And that's why I looked into different programs, ended up moving forward with your program.
Mm. I remember you sharing that with me a couple years back. Why did you choose our program specifically over any other program?
So at that time, I never knew like what professional development for sales was, or and another way of saying is sales coaching. Never knew that even existed out there. I was definitely a bit younger. The thought of seeking out a sales coach never really crossed my mind. But then began reading books. I started off with The Challenger,
Mm.
not because I wanted to, but actually because during the role that I had, my VP of sales wanted the entire team to read it. And I ended up loving it. I learned a lot. I ended up implementing those strategies into my sales process each and every single day. Then I began purchasing other books like Jeb Blount's Fanatical Prospecting and so forth, to name a few. A few months later, I found myself in the COVID pandemic, as many other people throughout the world or throughout the US. And what had happened was my salary was cut by 25%, and commission was not nearly where I needed it to be. In fact, there were several months where I didn't even earn a commission check. I was feeling it. Living in New York City is not cheap. So I was definitely worried. I kept telling myself, I got this. I'm going to figure it out. So I got on a computer and I made it happen. The fact that I no longer had to commute back and forth into Manhattan, I would get back anywhere from an hour to 2 hours worth of my time. And time is everything. So I had time in my favor, put it that way. So I had to make the best of it. I began doing research for sales coaching. I came across your website. I got motivated. That's how high the pain was in terms
Mm.
of making a change for myself and my future.
As you looked across, there's a lot of options. You could keep reading books, do YouTube, and there's other coaches out there. So why us? Why my program specifically?
Great question. So it's funny you mention that because I have amazing parents
Mm.
and I can go to them for everything, but I can't really go to them for tech sales,
Mm.
right? They have no idea what the corporate life is like. They're very traditional. I love them, but I knew I needed a coach
Mm.
for not just sales tips, but career coaching as well.
Mm.
And I noticed that your program had that. So for me, what really stood out was the fact that the more work I can put into this program, what you might call as massive action,
Mhm.
the more I can get to where I want to be career
Mm.
wise. So since time was in my favor, I put in a work. I kept going back to the 8 modules that you created for us. I've repeated, repeated, and repeated. I kept thinking practice, practice, practice. So what's been so effective about this? Well, number one thing for me is building a bulletproof mindset. That's the number one game changer for me. When you have a strong mindset, you have strong results. So going into the program, my confidence was down. I wasn't making nearly the money that I was making 2 or 3 years beforehand. I wasn't making enough money to survive. I was a few $1,000s in debt. I was definitely focused, but I knew I had to focus on building my skills versus working 80 plus hours a week. That just did not make sense to me. So that's what I focus on, really building my skills
Mhm.
in this program.
Dude, I love that, and I always love hearing from rock stars in the program where there's so much to learn, but like the mindset, learn how to think the right way is such a big piece. So for you, about how long did it take for you to see any type of results?
I'd say I had to really build my skills first, and that goes hand in hand with having that routine in place and
Mm.
building discipline. So when you truly think about sales, your pipeline comes down to your discipline, which comes down to your daily routines. And that's what I learned within your program. In terms of how long it took me, I'd say a little bit less than 2 months to really
Mm.
understand what a
Good.
routine is, build that discipline, and put it into effect.
Awesome. I love that. And do you happen to remember about how long did it take for you to earn back your initial investment?
I think it was a little less than 3 months for me.
Awesome. Love
Yeah.
that. As a result of implementing the program, the coaching, or maybe some of your proudest outcomes?
I think I had three major outcomes from this program so far. To be fair, there's more to come. That's just three for now. Number one would be my mentality. It's
Mm,
completely changed in terms of how I approach my day-to-day life. My mindset is everything. Anything I do, I want to do it right. I want to be
mm,
the best at it, whether it's prospecting or creating a nurturing email or cadence, or even just being able to handle objections like a true professional. It all comes down to your mindset and
mm.
giving it your all. That's number one. Number two, my sales process has completely buttoned up. And no, I'm not a master at discovery. There's always room for improvement, but I'm 10 times better than
Mm.
who I was at discovery a few years ago. Whether it's asking those deep discovery questions, building value, literally it's night and day compared to where I was in the beginning. And then I'd say number three, I'd have to say I'd never made as much money as I have until I implemented a program like this. Yeah, I earned my money back within the first 3 months, but think about afterwards, like how much money was I able to earn after the program. I noticed myself starting to close numerous six-figure deals consistently, but I also increased my salary by over $50,000 annually. And yeah, money's the motive, but it's not everything. It's a tool to live life happily, and that's what I've learned from this program.
I love it. You're absolutely right. You heard me say probably a million times now. Money is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. And you shared how it's positively helped you. And when you think about your life, how's your life changed since you've been in the program? Like, how do you feel now as a result of being part of the program?
Yep. My life hasn't changed drastically, but what I did realize is that I need to be surrounded by individuals who are like-minded like myself.
Mm,
I used to have a huge circle. Now that circle is a lot smaller. When I was younger, I'd earn a commission check and go buy myself some nice shoes, a nice shirt. But now when I earn a check, I think about how I can turn that check into 10 times its worth. I
mm,
think about investments and so forth. And I think about like how I can get better from that check, maybe invest it into more professional development. Again, my mentality has completely changed. And maybe it's because I've matured a bit, but I always think about my next move, whether it's career wise or where I want to be within 10 years from today. I love that saying that you mentioned to us, really stood out. If you work hard at your job, you make a living. But if you work hard on yourself, you'll make a fortune.
I love that. I think we're always an evolution, myself included, right? It's like every year's gonna get better and better for you from who you are and who you're going to become. And you're just getting started. And if you think about this, where do you think you'd be right now if you hadn't taken action and joined the program?
Well, to be transparent, I never think about what if I didn't join this program.
Mhm.
I always think about, thank God I joined this program to level up my sales skills and change my mindset on
Uh,
how I view things on a daily basis.
I love that. That's a winning mindset right there. Now, if there was someone that was on the fence about joining the program, what would you tell someone like that?
It's funny you asked me that question. So I've had between 3 to 5 different people reach out to me and asking me about Marcus Chan's program. And every single time I say, do it. Invest in yourself, no matter what the scenario is, because that money you'll earn back instantly. And you'll learn so much, not just about sales, but about life in general by joining the program that it'll be well worth the investment as well as your time.
Mm,
So do not be scared. Have that first initial call with Marcus, and you'll be happy you joined, especially going through the modules whenever you want for refreshers. And also joining the Wednesday calls, like the one-on-one sessions where we can come to you with questions that we have regarding any sort of sales tips that someone needs. So I always recommend it.
I love that. And what if it's someone, let's just say, like, go back to old version of Julian, who was not where he wanted to be, wasn't making the money he wants to make, at the end of each month, there's more bills to pay at the end of the month than the money they actually have in the bank. And they're like, I don't have any money to invest. And then it's didn't believe they had money. What would you tell someone like that?
Actually, I never thought about that.
'Cause you were kind of in that situation, right?
I was definitely
Yeah,
on, I,
you
wa-
were
I was definitely on offense. So just going back to like putting myself in that
Mhm.
situation and what happened to me and why I made the decision to pull the trigger and say, yes, I'm going to be joining this program was I looked at my current scenario. Could have gotten worse, but I know that by joining the program, it would make it better. Yes, it's an investment, but that's an investment in yourself. So you truly got to ask yourself, do you believe in yourself or not? And that's what it came down to. I truly believed in myself. I knew that if I would put into work within this program, put in that massive action that you need to take on, you'll generate the outcome no matter what. And that's exactly what I did here.
I love that. That's brilliant. I'm a firm believer, like you, like all sorts of program, like people out there, we all have greatness inside us. It's untapped opportunity to become a better version of ourselves. And sometimes you need a little help to open it up. That's exactly what happened with you. Cool, brother. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, if you enjoyed this interview and you want to get results like Julian, which you want to become one of the top reps at your company, multiply earnings, but most importantly, become the best version of yourself, go and pick a time anywhere on the page to book a time with my team, see if we can help you do the same as well. Thank you so much for watching.